As a leader of your company, you must stay up to date with your strategies and execution or risk obsolescence. Welcome to the Finnovate Show, financial services innovators bringing you the future today. And now, here's your host, Gerry Purcell.
It's the Finnovate Show, brought to you by Innovation 360 Group. I'm Gerry Purcell. Get ready to think about your biggest challenges and capitalize on your biggest opportunities after this.
Executives depend on external consultants to fill knowledge and experience gaps, or to have an experienced mind audit their thinking. The Innovation 360 Group brings together a wide range of proven thought leadership from around the globe and cost-effectively makes it available to you. Get the insights, advice, and systems you need to succeed. Learn more at www.innovation360.com.
Our guest today is Rick Lunny, who's the CEO of Manulife Bank of Canada. A much sought-after change agent, Rick knows how to use his experience to leverage technology and transform businesses in the financial services industry. And it brings a consistent record of achieving high levels of customer and employee satisfaction and getting the most out of his people in roles across several of Canada's largest financial institutions. As CEO of Manulife Bank of Canada, Rick is focused on driving change and innovation. And today, we'll talk about financial services and explore some learnings drawn from a long and successful career. Rick, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Gerry.
So for those who don't know much about Manulife Bank of Canada, maybe you could tell me a little bit about it.
Okay, sure. I'll give you a little background. I've been involved in banking for about 30 years, and I've seen the industry evolve significantly along with the needs of Canadians. And what attracted me to Manulife Bank about 6 years ago, because it was so different than other banks. It may be the first digital bank in Canada. It's never had any branches, and it's been around since 1993. And it has evolved. So today we're a full-service digital bank offering everything from everyday bank accounts to mortgages and more. And what is key about Manulife Bank is that it offers an alternative to the traditional banks. And we do this through product innovation and customer experience. And really, we've done this because all of our digital products and tools and services are designed to align to our customers' needs and the best interests of our customers. As an example of that, we unveiled recently a digital banking package that provides unlimited transactions as long as you save $100 a month. Now, what's innovative about that is the fact that we provide an insight card that appears every time you go on your mobile banking app, and it shows you how close you are to reaching the $100 so you don't have to pay the $10 fee.
Cool. Yeah. So I guess talking about innovation today is right up your alley.
Hopefully, yes.
So for your bank, I guess one could imagine that the quote pivot into the new environment might have been easier, but perhaps there were some challenges in changing into this new crisis environment that we're entering into. What sort of implications did it have for your bank?
Yeah, we were fortunate that, as being part of the global financial services group of Manulife, we had a well-developed pandemic plan. But of course, we didn't plan for everything. And, throughout the whole pandemic, our priority has been the health and safety of our customers and our employees. But, things happen that you don't anticipate. We have a number of support people offshore. And we had to scramble really quickly when we received short notice that the roads and the transportation systems were shutting down in a number of hours. So we had to move quickly and rent out local hotels near our operations center because our employees didn't have laptops at the time, just to ensure that our staff would be available to service our clients' needs. And then, on a more personal basis, I was up north at our cabin on St. Patrick's Day weekend, and the following Monday was set up as a test from everybody for working from home from North America. And it worked so well that virtually nobody returned to the office after that. And I stayed at my cabin for as long as the quality of the internet would hold up, which was several months.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. So your sales force is virtual, but it's also physical, right? You deal through your advisors. How's it affected the advisors that you sell through?
Yeah, we deal with both the independent advisor network and the mortgage broker network. And, so that in an industry that is geared towards face-to-face businesses in terms of, like wet signatures in the mortgage business. And, we have to deal with appraisers and title insurers and lawyers and notaries and all of those types of procedures. We had to act quickly to adjust how we were delivering our business. I would say one of the big surprises was how quickly the various regulators agreed to digital and virtual processes that they had resisted for so long. I do hope that those procedures stay in place from the regulators' point of view. Now, we were fortunate that we, being a digital bank, we had products on the shelf that we could enable for better customer experiences. For example, we have an artificial intelligence chatbot. Well, we basically amended our bank app to provide in-app experience for customers that had any COVID-19 related questions in terms of debt relief and other questions.
So let's just probe on that a little bit. I remember talking to you about this before. The chatbot sort of learns from conversations and then can actually have a conversation that perhaps might even feel like it's a real person at the other end. Tell me a little bit more about it.
Yeah, we don't hide the fact that you're talking to a virtual assistant, and we, as you're right, we learn from the questions asked, and so as a result, we can start responding to customers in terms of their spending habits and where they're spending their money and what categories they're spending their money in, and then this was a whole new level up when we introduced the COVID type questions, and what it really did is it resonated well with the customers, and it took a lot of pressure off the call centers at the same time.
I know one of the most or more important metrics that you use is your customer satisfaction and your NPS scores and stuff like that. How has the change in the business impacted your customer experience scores and things?
Yeah, well, I think we were fortunate. At first, the load on the call centers across the business when people were asking questions, we did see sort of a brief dip, but our customers, most of them appreciated the circumstances that we're in with virtually everybody working from home and responding to those. And then as we implemented more and more digital processes, such as we digitized the application process for people that are looking for deferred mortgage relief. So we saw the pressure reduce on our call centers, and then we saw our NPS and satisfaction scores return to normal.
Very interesting. So I've been following Manulife for a while, and it's a very innovative place. And you mentioned your all-in-one banking package and stuff. Other innovations that you think are noteworthy from Manulife Bank?
Well, sometimes, Gerry, you don't feel you're as innovative as you are. I mean, you mentioned the all-in-one banking package, and we have a Manulife One product, which is a offset mortgage, the kind that sort of originated in Australia. So we saw the versatility and flexibility of that product through the height of the COVID-19 crisis, because this allowed our customers to fluctuate their payments in terms of their ability to pay. So as a result of that, we saw a small fraction of our customers requiring payment relief compared to the numbers that were publicized in the banking industry.
So what was your biggest surprise, do you think, from the events over the last little bit, or in terms of thinking about the future? What sort of things do you think that you hadn't counted on or hadn't planned for?
Well, we did see a rapid decline in the use of cash in society, and there's been a long-term trend, but it fell off the cliff. I mean, from my perspective, I took out some money from an ATM in February and haven't, and then last month was the first time in 6 months that I took out money. So we saw that, and so it was good to be sort of in a digital place, but it also, I think one of the big outcomes of this was our bank, we're very focused on health and wealth and in terms of managing your debt and your cash flow. But in the current crisis, we quickly realized that this is not a time for our customers to be managing their debt. It's cash flow that's key. So we could provide them advice either through our independent advisor network or digital advice on how better to manage their cash flow. This is where we felt we could help significantly on that front.
The world is moving fast. It's difficult to keep up. Your executive team routinely needs new ideas to keep them ahead of the competition. Imagine having a plan in place in 30 days to focus your innovation efforts, improve customer experience, accelerate your move to digitization, or increase speed to market. Our guide to accelerating your innovation agenda provides you with insights and time-saving resources to plan your path forward. Contact Gerry to book a quick call or for your complimentary copy at www.linkedin.com/in/Gerry Purcell. GerryPurcell. Or email Gerry at gerry.purcell@innovation360group.com.
So we'd spoken before about planning and some of the things that you've been anticipating in terms of your business and whatever. And I think what you found is, I'll let you tell me a little bit about what you found, is some of the things that you were working towards actually became much more important than in fact you had expected.
Well, I guess the digital front in particular, and we were in a good spot from that. But, there also from, an employee engagement point of view, where all of a sudden we had a culture, fortunately, where about 30% of our employees were working from home. So when that morphed into almost everybody, people they adjusted well, but it really underscored the need for constant communication. That you just can't communicate enough to your customers and your employees. It was very important for everyone to realize that we were in this together, and that we would work through it together, and we would constantly communicate with our customers and our employees. And when we don't have the answers, we admitted we didn't have the answers, and then preserving the humanity of it. I found it quite useful that we provided some regular videos from our cabin, indicating how the relationship with my wife and I was evolving over the period in the wilderness. But it shows your humanity overall. And it also, it gives you time to think about the future in terms of, what is the future of financial services and how does that change? I think there's a tremendous opportunity to disrupt or gain market share in this industry, but it's not as easy as it looks. We saw in the UK recently the challenges of some of the high-profile fintechs. So being digital is just not enough. It does pay to be a well-capitalized and profitable company, and those doing it successfully, they know how to focus on the customer in terms of the total experience. And I think that's one of the keys coming out of this. We all adapted our practices and our buying habits through this. I did a lot of online purchasing, and at times, doing home repairs we put off for such a long period of time. And sometimes you'd get your package the same day, and then I had this big box store experience where it was on the shelf and it took them 4 days to get it from the shelf to the customer pickup area. So customers, they've seen how people respond differently in the current environment, and they will gravitate to those that are meeting their needs.
Do you think the customer needs are changing, or do you think that they'll just go back the way they were before once the crisis has abated?
No, I think we're seeing a wholesale change here in the marketplace, that some people will go back to the old habits that they had before, but I think we've seen across the board the advantages of digital, and how consumers don't have to go out to the stores and buy their heavy boxes of Tide and other things like that. Maybe they'll still want to go out and see the furniture they're buying and kick the tires, so to speak. But I think it's important that they recognize that from that point of view, it's important that the financial service company or the company they're dealing with understands their needs and meets their needs in the way that they want to be served.
One of the things I've noticed, because I've got gray hair too, is that we go through these crises and they tend to be all-consuming, and people get all focused on today and the things that are going on and the issues and stuff. How do you keep yourself and your team focused on at least enough of looking forward to sort of plan for some of these innovations that are will be coming, or that you'll introduce into the market?
Yeah, well, I think one thing we saw across the board was that in a crisis environment, it was you had to make quick decisions, and you didn't necessarily have the time to assess all of the information that you wanted to have to make that decision. And there was great delegation of authority just because it had to be done in the environment. Well, we saw how quickly we could get to market, and everybody saw that. And the key is, how do we preserve that? How do we preserve the fact that more delegated authority and trusting people to do the right thing actually it gets you to market faster, and it allows you to compete more effectively, and you end up with more engaged employees along the way.
So how are your employees weathering the storm, so to speak?
They're doing very well, I would say. We were fortunate, as I said, that we were well equipped for that, and there were some. You talked about innovation. There were some innovative actions we took towards our employees at Manulife. One of the cool things was, nobody was going to school, and everybody was stuck at home. And we had a Manulife camp for children, for employees' children, a virtual camp. And, that involved, sing songs and craft making and everything else. And people got mailed a T-shirt. And it was, a great way of how you could be innovative in a somewhat restrictive environment. And now, when people are looking at, in the current situation, it's been 6 months or so, and people are considering, when do we return to work and what's the environment going to be like? I think it's really important that anyone in this situation considers the regional differences in the environment, in the health environment. Everybody's employees' needs are different, whether it's young children or elderly parents. But overall, what you want to do is reduce that anxiety. So if you can provide ample notice to reduce that and give people time to prepare for what they have to do, I think that benefits everybody.
So you talked a little bit about the fintech environment in different parts of the world, but either in fintech or in the sort of established financial institutions, who do you think has really got it figured out? And not who do you want to be when you grow up, but where are you borrowing some of your ideas from, maybe, or who's got it right, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, well, I think the leaders are the companies that understand that there's a balance of when to build in-house and when it's best to seek out partners that are already doing what your customers need. And, from my point of view, I don't think people should sort of look inward. They should look outward, outside of their own environment, outside of their own country, their own industries, and say, what is working in those, and how can those apply to my industry? We were looking at a car application app where it helps consumers decide what type of car they want to buy. And I was thinking that, boy, that app might really work well in terms of choosing financial service packages. So the key is to keep informed about what's happening everywhere. I mean, I use Twitter. I find that that's the best way to keep informed as to what's going on everywhere, both inside and outside your industry. And then how can I apply those learnings to my industry and my situation?
So, I'm a new CEO of a small financial institution. I come to you. You've been around a while. What advice would you give me about things that I should be thinking about?
Well, I would say start with the customer. There's too many times we see products and services designed that aren't successful because the customer was not involved in the process from day one. There wasn't human-centric design. There wasn't a natural flow to the application or that sort of thing. And the other, as I said, what's your core business? And if it's not software, you have to decide whether it does make sense for you to build in-house or to go outside. Now, it does create supply chain management issues, so you have to be prepared that if you're going to do a lot of outsourcing, you have to be good at managing all of your suppliers and how they all weave together. But the advantage of the traditional large players is gone. It constantly surprises me how Manulife Bank can produce such digitally leading products and services for a fraction of what it traditionally costs a large player to do, and that's by sourcing, whether it's locally or internationally, people that can meet your needs.
So with all this digital and technology and stuff, cyber security and safety and stuff must be on your mind all the time. What kind of thoughts do you have about that, or innovative ways of thinking about it, perhaps?
Well, I think that's step one. There was a software company recently that approached us with an innovative idea that they felt that our customers would benefit from. And before we even look at it, we said, well, you got to pass all the security tests before, show us what you've done on the security front before we even consider whether we want to use your product and services. So I would say that's kind of job one in today's marketplace. And the other element, with all of the high profile breaches that you've seen with some various large entities over the last few years, if I was to go in the market with any type of digital product, I would just assume that everybody's identity is out there somewhere, and you better build in the various safety procedures and precautions and due diligence to ensure that you are dealing with who you think you're dealing with, and at the same time make it a customer-friendly experience.
So what's your biggest learning from your time as an executive in the financial services industry? I know it's a long time and maybe lots of things, but
that's quite a question.
Pick one.
Yeah. I think it all comes down to people, the quality of the people that you have. And if you assemble a great management team, and I always make it a practice to hire people smarter than me. And as a result, it makes the job a lot easier. It allows someone in my position to focus on the more strategic elements of the business. And that way you can be assured that people are doing their jobs and they feel good about it. But I always sort of describe myself as someone who's like a hawk circling all the time, just circling and watching. And boy, if there's something that needs my attention, I just dive down and until I'm satisfied, I'm going to be all over it.
Yeah, much to the chagrin sometimes of all the people around you sometimes. Right? So I really appreciate you taking the time to chat and for being such a good sport about the questions. I think we'll leave the interview at that. But as always, it's been a very, very interesting conversation, and I really appreciate your thoughts and some of your unique perspectives on things. So that wraps up this episode, and I always like hearing your thoughts on today's or our other shows. Please keep the conversations going by commenting on LinkedIn. Go to www.innovation360.com to listen to more shows, download the transcription from today's show, or to contact today's guests. Thank you, Rick, for your time and attention.
Thank you, Gerry.
You've been listening to the Finnovate Show with Gerry Purcell. If you like the show, share it on your network and subscribe on iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts. And you can go to www.innovation360.com to listen to more shows, download the transcription from today's show, or to contact today's guest. This is the Finnovate Show, financial services innovators bringing you the future today.